It's the physical foundation of the body. And I always like to tell my students, imagine yourself without your skeletal system. What are you going to be like? A big ball of something that might can flop around a little bit, but we can't pick up anything. We can't walk. So the skeletal system is vitally important. It's composed of 206 bones. They vary in size and shape. They have movable and immovable joints. And I think yesterday we talked about the immovable joints mostly being in the cranium or the skull. Osteology is the science of the anatomy, structure, and functions of the bones, because os is the technical term for bone. Except for the tissue that forms the hard part of our teeth, bone is the hardest in the body. It's about 1/3 animal matter, such as our cells and blood, and 2/3 mineral matter, which is mainly calcium carbonate and calcium phosphate. And I would remember those two, the 1/3 animal, 2/3 mineral. Our skeletal system has several functions besides helping us to walk and move, stand upright. It gives the shape and support to the body, protects our various internal organs and structures, such as our rib cage protecting our heart and lungs, serves as attachment for muscles and acts as levers to produce body movements. And this is where our massage manipulations come in, where our muscles are attached to our bones. We never want to pull against our origin of our muscle, because if we pull one of those loose, then we get sagging and bagging. We don't have the support. Sometimes we have to have surgery. They also help produce both white and red blood cells, and that happens in our bone marrow. And you probably remember when people have leukemia, they need a bone marrow transplant donated by someone, and that's so that they can get healthy again. They also store most of the body's calcium supply, as well as their phosphorus, magnesium, and sodium. The joints are the connections between two or more bones of the skeleton. We have our movable, such as our elbows and our knees, our wrists and hips, and the immovable, such as the pelvis or skull. So we want to start off with our bones now, so we know what's where and what the name of it is. The skull is the skeleton of the head. It's divided into two parts. The cranium, which is an oval bony case that protects our brain. And we are going to be massaging around the brain area. People have a lot of hair problems, thinning hair, dandruff, dry scalp. We do massage manipulations to help stimulate the sebaceous glands, which produces our oil. And also the facial skeleton, which is made up of 14 bones. The cranium itself is made of 8 bones, and we're interested in the occipital bone. I want you to learn to locate the occipital bone. Start at your nape area and rub your fingers up the middle until you feel a little egg or hump there. And that's one of the more familiar, or should be more familiar to you, because when you go to a beauty show, they're going to have the starting and stopping point of a lot of haircuts. They're going to say, I'm going to start here at the occipital bone to elevate for the haircut, or either I'm going to use it as a reference point to bring the hair down. And a lot of the hairdos you're already familiar with that, and that's when they cut it real close to the nape area, and then you'll see it begin to blouse out or bowl out. And so, you know, keep that in mind, your occipital. It's below the 2 parietal bones, and it forms the back of the skull right above the nape area. The 2 parietal bones form the sides and crown or top of the cranium. The frontal bone is your forehead, and I like to start touching as we go through, because after a while we're going to study it as the frontalis. Still going to be right here. That's the muscle, the forehead. So learn to identify where some of these parts are. Temporal bones, and we probably didn't have any problem with that, because that actually forms the side of the head in the ear region. We usually refer to it as a temple. When we get a headache, we'll usually go right here and want to massage it. So when a client comes in and they've got a headache and you're going to do a shampoo or something on them, as you massage the scalp, you may want to stop right there and concentrate on the temple area to help relax them a little bit and make the shampoo feel good. Bones of the face that are involved in facial massage include 2 nasal bones. They form the bridge of the nose, so we know where the nasal bones are. 2 lacrimal bones are the small thin bones located at the front inner wall of the orbits, or the eye sockets. 2 zygomatic or malar bones form the prominence of the cheeks or cheekbones, and I usually pinch these because history of cosmetology tells us that before makeup came out and the ladies got all dressed up to go to the balls or whatever at night, they pinched to put the blush in their cheeks. We have it a lot easier. We just grab up our blush and put it on there. But we use the zygomatic bones also as a reference as to where to put our dark and light blush colors. 2 maxillae are bones of the upper jaw. The mandible is the lower jawbone. It's the largest and strongest bone of the face, and it's what you do your biting with. We talk about chewing, but actually the mandible is the one that moves. The maxilla doesn't. Bones of the neck. The hyoid bone is the U-shaped bone. At the base of the tongue, we often hear it called the Adam's apple. And the reason it's called the Adam's apple, if you would think back to when you were in high school, boys about 15, probably 14 now, 15 and 16, when they get nervous, they don't even have to be talking. You've ever noticed their Adam's apple going up and down? Especially do that if they approach the girls, you know, a little bit nervous about asking her out for the night. It begins to jump before they ever open their mouth. So that's your hyoid. Cervical vertebrae are the 7 bones of the top part of the vertebral column located in the neck region. Then we have the bones of the chest, shoulder, and back. Our massage manipulations can only be from here up, and then scalp and head, from here to here, and then from our toes to our knees. So that's why we're studying the bones of the chest and shoulder and the back. We can massage from here up in the front and from here up in the back. The thorax is the chest. It's an elastic bony cage. It serves as a protective framework for the heart, lungs, and other internal organs. Our ribs. 12 pairs of bones form the wall of the thorax. The scapula, and I always have to keep this in mind because the scapula to me sounds like it should have wound up on the scalp instead of the shoulder. But the scapula is one of a pair of shoulder blades. It's the large, flat, triangular bone of the shoulder. The sternum is the breastbone, which is a flat bone that forms the ventral or front support of the ribs. The clavicle, and this is what most kids break. They climb trees and they say they broke their collarbone. It's actually their clavicle. It's the bone that joins the sternum and the scapula. The bones of the arms and hands. Now I know we said we were going to talk about from the foot to the knees, but we do that in 112, which is manicuring and pedicuring. So for now we're just going to go over the arms and hands. The important bones of the shoulders, arms, and hands that we need to know about include the humerus. The humerus is the uppermost and largest bone of the arm. It extends from the elbow to the shoulder. We never actually massage it, but we study it because it does hook onto the forearm. And the humerus, I remember it because everybody calls it your funny bone when you knock your elbow on something, and it's actually your humerus you're hitting. It's never very funny or humorous. The ulna is the inner and larger bone of the forearm or the lower arm. It is attached to the wrist, and it's located on the little finger side of the hand. So I always just name my little finger ulna. In return, I'm going to name my thumb radius. We'll see radius and radial. And the radius, although it's on the thumb side of the hand, it's the smaller bone of the forearm. So with the bigger fingers, the smaller bone, smaller finger is the larger bone. The carpus is the wrist. The wrist is very flexible. It's composed of a group of 8 bones. They're irregularly shaped. They're called carpals. This is all held together by ligaments. We have our metacarpus, which are bones of the palm of the hand, parts of the hand containing 5 bones between the carpus and the phalanges. And we know where those 5 bones are headed. That's why we got 5 of them, the thumb and our 4 fingers. Our phalanges are actually the bones of our fingers or our digits. The toes also take the same name. Consists of 3 in each finger, but only 2 in the thumb. Questions?